Anyone identify a common theme of all these vehicles on the screen? Anybody? Yes, all of them were either designed or built in California.
Oh, wow.
And not everyone realizes how much history there is in automotive in general, motorsports in particular, and aerospace. You know, so there's, so you know, a lot of going back to the Studebaker Avante was designed at Palm Springs. You know, Ford's got a new operation in Long Beach. Used to build Model Ts in Long Beach. So a lot of really just think everything here we do for the SA SoCal, all volunteer. Some of our other board members, Dr. Bachman from Cal State LA, is out of town. Emily Sharp's feeling under the weather. Didn't want to bring our germs to this, so we appreciate that. Mike Moyer, our treasurer, is in the back. John Steiner, I think, is on a plane somewhere, but all this is volunteer. So if you're all the Fullerton students out there, as soon as you graduate, we'll invite you to the board. Right now, focus on your cars, but we'd like to have more people get involved in helping us produce great events. For those of you who don't know, we have 18 active student groups in Southern California. But by the end of next year, we may have 24, because we got 6 more in the works, including Long Beach City College. We got some reps here from Long Beach City College. And normally, you know, it's hard enough to keep continuity in a 4-year program. It's almost impossible on a 2-year program with students. It's the only reason we're doing Long Beach City College and Saddleback is because faculty asked for it. So absolutely, we want to support it. And I think with Long Beach City College being so close here to Lions, it's a great opportunity. We've done 12 events in the last 6 months. So we've done some really cool things, most of them right here at Lions, because this is just like the perfect venue for us. We've also done some things over at the Long Beach Grand Prix. We'd like to do more tours. We're going to hopefully have some of those in the second half of the year. And upcoming, so how many of you gone to see Speedway motorcycle racing? Only, looks like maybe 20% of you. The other 80% are missing something that's really wild. 500 cc. 5th, we have 2 engineers from the Williams Formula 1 team coming over here to talk. And several people asked me, how did I talk Williams into getting them to come over? I didn't. They're both from Southern California. It just happens that that's their vacation from work. They're home visiting family, and we set up the date specifically so they can come and talk. So for any of the students or anybody who wants to know what it's like to work in Formula 1 today, we're going to have 2 SoCal natives who are going to talk about their experiences over in Europe. September 15th, our working title is Bespoke Engineering Challenges in the Automotive Engineering World. John Steiner setting that one up. I don't know the details other than that vague title. We're going to hopefully have one of our student groups participating in the Freak of the Week car show at Topanga Canyon, run by a good friend of ours. And then October 3rd will be our big blowout for all the students. And this is one that we don't generally invite industry unless you're actually actively hired. We would like more companies to use these media as a venue to announce hiring opportunities. And I'm the one on LinkedIn, anytime someone posts that they're looking for hiring an engineer, I invite them to come and make the announcements here. So if anyone's in the audience is hiring, you're welcome to come up here and say a few words. And then there's some events that SAE International is putting on. 2 weeks from now is the Automated Transportation Symposium in San Diego. So anyone who's interested in autonomy, ADAS, and other related topics. So that'll be some hardcore technical topics as well as some of the regulatory issues related to it. There is an OBD2 conference in Long Beach in September, and that one we timed it to where we'll have a section meeting here on September 15th, so probably, hopefully we'll have 100 people from that conference. These are 4-lap sprint races, 4 up, and races about 45 seconds each. Run 50 to 60 races a night. It's fun. Very loud, bring air protection. Very family-friendly location, though. Now it is free for members, WIMDA members, SME members. And then there's the little flyer for our 2 engineers coming over for Williams. That should be a fun one. And I would like to ask all of you to bookmark our LinkedIn page. One of the things with SAE, they take privacy very seriously, which means that even if you paid your dues, if you did not opt in, I cannot legally send you an email. So a lot of SAE members complain they didn't know about it. Well, you didn't opt in. I can't legally send you an email. So follow us on LinkedIn. Take a look at the stuff. We archive our videos. TJ Keon in the back videotapes these. We live stream.
SAE, and we look forward to the events. We know we've got some good ones coming up. So we hope to see all of you again. And just to know a little bit history of our museum our founder was Rick Lorenzen, who was also my dad. So this was his private collection first, and he grew up at Lions Drag Strip. So of course he wanted to replicate it, bring that back to life, and that was his vision. So we're just continuing his legacy here, and we hope you all enjoy it because there is a lot of history here just with the cars, and hopefully you can read all the plaques. There's a lot of good information. So, but thank you for being here and enjoy. Thank you so much.
One of the other great partners we had, the event we did here in April was with Women in Motorsports North America, WIMNA, and Society of Women Engineers, SWE. So, Ivy, you want to say a few words about SWE?
So thank you always to Dean and SAE for always inviting SWE-LA to our events. So my name is Ivy. I'm the president of SWE-LA, Society of Women Engineers Los Angeles. And many of you may be familiar with the org, but we are an international organization that just exists to empower, support, and inspire women and other minorities in STEM and engineering and all that stuff. So very similar mission to SAE and other related organizations, but we'd love to have you all at our events if you all are interested. For those of you who are students, we have our annual scholarship program that you can apply to. If you're graduating soon, we'd love to join you when you become professionals and working in the workforce or in academia or anything like that. And then for those of you who are currently professionals, we'd love for you to join us at our events. We have social events, professional development events. The first thing we have coming up is in August. August 23rd, we're going to be having our first meeting of the year. So twice a year we get together to plan out the whole year and all the fun events we'll be doing. So it's going to be likely August 23rd, a Sunday in the morning. So if you're interested, come find me, can send the and we look forward to seeing you all at stuff if you're interested.
Okay, thank you. A lot of these speakers we get are introductions, and I'm not sure who connected me with Krystyna, but it's like, you need to meet this woman. She's great. She went to your school. She went to the correct Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. And she was a star on the Formula SAE team up there, and then had a really interesting career in all forms of combustion. Her passion is engines.
Yes.
And she's a hardcore motorcycle racer, so, some serious street cred there. And we got talking on the phone, and it's like, okay, you got a lot to say that we shouldn't do on a phone call. So let's turn this into a presentation. Would you be willing to speak in public? And the topic is yours, and her passion is engines, but also hydrogen. And so, everyone knows about hydrogen for fuel cells, but not so many people know about the use of hydrogen in internal combustion engines.
That's true.
So Krystyna is going to talk about this. She's got a background here. She's worked for G.
So, hey everybody, I'm Krystyna Kubran, and thank you for being first. This is the first time somebody actually, in 1807, 70 years before Herr Otto blessed us with the 4-stroke cycle, and 70 years before Daimler, Maybach, and Otto put together the atomization carburetor. And you know why they needed the atomization carburetor? Because they struggled to predict nor control when combustion of their liquid fuel would occur. So you know what they did? DeRivas, I totally butcher his name. Anyway, yeah, because he patented at the back of the pack, but I'm not super throttle aggressive. And so that really bodes well for being on 1,000. And ended up getting my first ever podium, my second year of road racing my R1 by flag to flag win by an accidental entrepreneur. I just wanted to help my friends because I did diesel electric locomotives, which these are some of my favorites for comparison. So the Ford 352 FE, this is a valve out of that engine, and it was the first engine I ever built at Sierra College outside Sacramento and Rockland. And this picture here is the first time I ran the engine, fired it up for the first time. So I'm sitting with the fire extinguisher and modulating the carburetors. It's pretty exciting to have an opportunity to save that sweet symphony of controlled combustion, because you will take that from my cold dead hands. And there is absolutely no reason do we have to give up combustion engines? Because they can and they will be zero emission, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So for my career, because I did design and built locomotive diesel engines. Well, the locomotives, but emphasis on the diesel. That was my favorite part. But the locomotives, turns out they fundamentally operate like every single electric vehicle. It is a control system to manage the power. Everything in the middle is nuanced between make and model. You want to put a fuel cell in there? Cool. You want to put in a battery and a combustion engine? Cool. Whatever you want, it doesn't matter, because the control system for electric vehicles is the new air fuel ignition. Without it, you don't go anywhere, right? And so this is one of my favorites. I'm a cool peel stick stationary gen set. Isn't that cool? I'm 5'3", so that is at Fairbanks Morris Engine. They're licensed to build them and deal with them in North America. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So thanks to my experience in doing the locomotives, I wanted to help my friends who own independent shops. Is my brother. Now, my brother has been a technician for 20 years, and he is a maestro with the torque. And she's one of those guys, like, once he touches your car, you're like, nobody, that's my dude. Don't touch it, you'll mess it up, right? And so he's one of those kind of guys. And so he's been down here in LA for a long time, and he's got a collection of dudes who call him up, bro, come fix my car, come fix my car, come fix my car. And so they were encouraging him to open a shop. And so, this is before the pandemic. So I was like, let's do it. I'll help you run it. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm an engineer. You're a talented mechanic. Let's do custom zero emission powertrain conversions. He's like, all right, cool. And talking to some of my friends, they're like, I don't know anything about those cars. So I'm like, I'll help you. I'll teach your guys. Like, you'd be one of the first in town to open a shop to service EVs. And then the pandemic hit, right? But then I thought, what if other shops need help? What if this could be a way to help all the little independent shops transitioning to offer EV service? Like, I could write a curriculum and like bring guys in after hours, couple hours here, couple hours there. It could help our shop, right? Well, the shop still isn't up yet. It's getting closer, but turns out I have a lot more friends and things have just been a wild adventure since this whole thing started in 2022. And so I'm working with Automotive Service Excellence to earn the accreditation for my curriculums and for my business. And so it'll be all ASE accredited for the technicians. And we're working on putting together curriculums for everything from the battery electric to the plugins, to the fuel cells, and to hydrogen combustion engines. And so I want to help teach not only how to service them, but teach students how to do conversions, and shops who want to start opening it, because I think conversions is going to be a huge market in the near future. And not just converting it to any kind of zero emission powertrain, but there's 49 million cars registered in California. What are you going to do with all of them? Throw them in the garbage? And I'll tell you what, you can take my beloved little 2002 Audi TT from my cold dead hands, because I love that little car. And even though it lost a head gasket, 236,000 miles, I plan to strip it down and replace all the wear polymers and rebuild it from the ground up, because I love that little car and I'd rather rebuild it than buy a new one, I'll tell you that much. And why do we have to go silent with an electric? I mean, yeah, big torque is cool, it's acceleration, keep you back in the seat, right? But it's silent. It's like, no, that's cool, but okay. I mean, there's a lot of options, and I think hydrogen combustion engines offers a whole other section, a whole other alternative for the consumers, for car enthusiasts. I mean, for God's sakes, they're piping engine exhaust sounds through the speakers of EVs. I mean, seriously, what self-respecting car enthusiast is going to even accept that? I mean, seriously, like, then why'd you get an EV if you don't want to give up the sound? So one of the biggest things I've read is that the consumer acceptance of this new technology, right? Because 120 years, take the shell off, it's a powertrain mechanically connected to the drive wheels. And so when the carriage repair shops, the horseless carriage came out, oh yeah, okay, it's a chassis. Like, oh, see this, it turns and then turns, does that. Well, you take the shell off an EV, what do you see? A power source somewhere, black boxes, wires, how much moving stuff? Like the wheels? Yeah, exactly. So not only for our proverbial carriage repair shops, but it is a 180 completely different car. And so now even the consumer, like my dad, we grew up in Northern California working on cars with dad. He was a shade tree mechanic, and soon learned how to adjust points and tune carburetors and the difference between a mechanical secondary and a vacuum secondary. And so he's used to being able to do a lot of work on his own car. Well, now, what are you going to work on? And maybe some people be too intimidated to even try it. They're worried about getting zapped or burning their house down or something, right? So there's a lot of reasons why the consumer is not fully accepting of the technology. Now, the fun fact is, electric cars were in production before the Ford came out, right? And actually, the first wheel race is the electric car, all 5 heats. Torque is acceleration. You have asked the consumer, hey, just change it, just like the 1970s, when they were leaded, unleaded. Just change the fuel. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that, obviously, but now you can give them an alternative to something they might be intimidated by. Maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they just don't want it, or whatever it is. But in addition, you buy time, build the infrastructure. You buy time to get people trained, from the engineers who are going to design them to the technicians who are going to service them. And the best thing about the hydrogen combustion engines, there is no hydrogen gas quality requirement. And I've talked to some of the guys in production, and their plan is to basically make it not high quality anyway. But as production gets started and gets launched, and you're building all these pipelines and dealing with all the growing pains that come with it, well, what if you don't have the quality? What are you going to do with it? Dump it somewhere, store it somewhere, re-clean it? No, you can sell it to a hydrogen combustion engine. And the EU has already given its official stamp as a zero-emission vehicle. In fact, JCB, they make construction equipment over there, backhoes and excavators. They just built a land speed car that's powered by 2 800 horsepower hydrogen combustion engines, and they're hoping to beat the 350 miles an hour that they hit with the diesel one from last year. You know what? I think they will, because the other beauty of hydrogen combustion engines is they make a ton more power. And just imagine how much more power right now. They're like 67% thermal efficiency, and nobody made parts for them until like 2 years ago. Nobody. Cool research that the national labs have done, that the university has done, that everybody has done, they took either custom-made things or modified them from a natural gas or propane injector or some other gaseous fuel. But hydrogen does not have the lubricity that fuel does, right? So you can't just run it through an injector. There's nothing to lubricate it. But guess what? Bosch just came out with an injector that isolates the hydrogen from moving parts. And if you can so who remembers that hydrogen is number 1 on the periodic table, right? It's up there because it's the tiniest one, right? So the other argument is, well, you're going to blow oil past the rings. Okay, well, if you're blowing enough oil past the rings to affect emissions, you got a lot bigger problems in your crankcase than you do out the tailpipe, right? Because the hydrogen, if it can go past the rings and it bond with the oxygen and emulsify your oil, right? It's just dumping water in your crankcase. And then there's the whole, percent volume problem where you can just blow up the crankcase if it reaches a certain percent. But if you can keep the hydrogen from going into the crankcase, you can definitely keep the oil from going in the combustion chamber, right? But also, why does the oil have to be made of fossil fuel material? Why does it have to be toxic? Why can't it be something that's non-toxic? It doesn't have to hold hydrocarbons and do its job. It just has to do its job. And I was very thrilled to see that at the Vienna Motor Show this year, somebody was giving a talk on exactly that. And they titled it, the non-toxic oil or something, but said one more step towards it because it can be zero. Now, the other argument is NOx, right? Oxide nitrogen. Well, how do you get those? That's when everything recombines above a certain temperature, right? So if you can keep the temperature below that threshold, the NOx formation zone, you're not going to make NOx. And there's a whole lot of levers you can pull to not make NOx. And one of the coolest ones I read about, this is pretty neat. So how many people have heard of the whole like active and passive pre-chamber with combustion processes now? So what they're doing is you got a little pre-chamber, and for an active one, you would start the ignition process there, and then the combustion would continue down in the main part of the combustion chamber. And so some of that can look like the flames continuing down, or just the air-fuel mixture going down and then igniting in below, depending on how it's designed. But one of the coolest ones was Molly and Lieberher. They have an active pre-chamber combustion for hydrogen combustion engines, where the ignition starts in the pre-chamber. So like a six-hole nozzle, right, sprays out the fuel. Well, imagine shooting out little fireballs. And now, because hydrogen has such a fast flame speed, combustion's done before the temperature even gets hot enough to get in the NOx formation zone. So now you can have a lot more fuel to get the power out of it, but the combustion happens so fast that you don't get up to temperature to make NOx. And they were able to show that it made no NOx. And so, because that's the trade-off, right? It's like less fuel is lower temperature combustion, but there's a lot of other levers we can pull. That was just one of the ones I thought was really cool. But there's a lot of levers we can pull for low temperature combustion. And they've been studying that for diesel and gasoline for a lot anyway, you know? And so the other setting is like if you put a hydrogen combustion engine in a hybrid setup, so like a locomotive, where all it does is make electricity, it does not connect to the drive wheels whatsoever, then you absolutely make zero emissions, period. Because you can keep it out of the NOx formation zone. And Southwest Research Institute in Cummins, they built it. It wasn't even Cummins optimized hydrogen combustion engine. It was their fuel agnostic engine. So it was port fuel injected hydrogen. And it was, they put it in a Class 8 tractor and put it on the road, and they were able to show 10 ppm NOx across the board. Because the transient NOx is where it'll really start making it, right? But otherwise, it is absolutely possible to make zero NOx out the tailpipe. And so H2ICE is finally getting the attention it deserves and it needs. So it's been 120 years of development with fossil fuel engines, diesel and gasoline, right? Nobody was really looking at hydrogen. A few niche places and us weirdos, you know, checking it out. I found some papers going back to 1933 on SAE, so that was pretty cool. But imagine what we can get out of that engine now that people are actually giving it the love it deserves. And it'll help drive hydrogen sales, because you can't, getting people, first manufacturing the fuel cell cars, and then getting people to buy them, it's a lot cheaper and faster to just convert your engine, or just buy a new engine and put it in there. And so one of my personal passion projects is to develop a kit to convert cars to run when it's all done. And the thing that's really fun about hydrogen engines is that you can set it up a number of different ways. For example, you can have it, like if you wanted to convert one of your classic cars, you can still keep it carbureted. You can run it on gasoline or hydrogen. In fact, Mazda did that in 2022. They turned one of their Wankel engines into a dual fuel so that you ran on gasoline or hydrogen. And the whole point was to influence and promote hydrogen infrastructure growth in Japan. Port fuel inject the gasoline, direct inject the hydrogen. So as long as you have the entries in two different spots, you can run it on either fuel. But you can also set it up for blends. And the thing with that is you can have an increase in power and a reduction of emissions by just adding a few blends. In fact, Idaho National Laboratory, back in the early 2000s, They built a hydrogen production plant out in Arizona, and they got this fleet of vehicles. Some of them were optimized, some of them were not. And they took and put them on either 100% hydrogen or 100% compressed natural gas, or a blend in between, 15% hydrogen, 30% hydrogen. And then they tested emissions, they looked at the maintenance, they looked at how well they perform. And what was interesting was this one in particular was a Dodge van, and they ran it on I think it was a 15% hydrogen CNG blend. And they found that cold start, moderate NOx increase, transient, almost like 80% reduction in NOx, hot restart, 400% increase in NOx. And they attributed to the fast flame speed of hydrogen and having it burn so fast that it got so hot because of the way it was blended. Now that vehicle was originally OEM for CNG. They did nothing to optimize it. And then they took an F-150, and they also built it the same way, but this time they optimized it. And they were able to get the emissions that qualified for actually in better than California's super ultra low emission vehicle standards. And in also around the 2000s, Ford built some shuttle buses, 100% hydrogen combustion engines, and they did it out in Vegas. And so they did all these, surveys of the riders and the maintenance, and they did emissions. Well, it was Nevada. The NOx output was so low, it was below the threshold of their emissions equipment able to even read it. And so H2ICE absolutely can and will meet that zero emission badge. China is already starting to get to it. They're most likely going to bless it off. And CARB is about to bless off hydrogen combustion engines for sale and operation in California. And that's going to explode the whole thing. So yes, we're going to have a party for that. And you guys, I'm going to need your help. I mean, it's going to be a delayed celebration, but how about this? To celebrate that win, celebrate saving engines, I want to organize a classic car cruise from LA to Laguna Seca for classic cars converted to run on hydrogen. Who wants to join? Huh? I mean, we gotta, design the kits and do the conversion, so it'll be a while, but everyone is invited. So, yes.
The engines that you use